Hello, and welcome back to Drama After Dark, GBH's live drama after show, where tonight we are talking about not one, but two Masterpiece season finales, which is a big deal. I'm your co-host, Jackie Bruley, joined as always by Andrea Willanen, my delightful co-host.
Whoa!
And this week we have a very special treat for you. We have a special guest, Erin Delaney, senior series producer at Masterpiece. Erin, thank you for coming back on the show.
Hello. Always one
It's
of our
so great.
favorite guests.
We're so excited to have you back again. So Erin, for the folks who maybe haven't seen Drama After Dark before, can you just remind everyone, what exactly does a senior series producer do?
Sure. Probably at other shows, a variety of things. What I do, I've been there for quite a while, so I have now a bunch of things that I do. I manage the team that puts the shows together, and we also do all of the promos and next times and trailers and other short pieces. We do actually, if you're interested in more All Creatures or Miss Scarlet, we do some really fun little behind the scenes pieces, which are on our website, and they're on many of our social channels too. So check them out. They provide a lot of great background around the show. And I also work with the executive producers to do looking ahead, down the road, which, of course, during a global pandemic is a lot harder than it used to be. But we're still, forging ahead and finding great shows for Masterpiece.
The pandemic must have been, it's not been fun for anyone, but I imagine it's extra challenging when you have all these production schedules that you have to deal with.
Well, yeah, you guys know from working at GBH that production schedules are already, without a pandemic, like this crazy logistical Sudoku thing where, you have the actors who are all available at different times and the locations. And what if, actor A and actor G have a scene together in location X, but location X is only available on day Y, but this actor has to go to the other show and the blah, 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 blah. And so then when you throw a whole global pandemic and, quarantining and daily testing and then one person getting sick and then shutdowns, and it's been challenging, but, everybody wants to keep working and wants to keep getting things done. So it's remarkable, actually, how ways are being found.
That's incredible. Now, speaking of ways being found, there's an incredible schedule this year for Masterpiece. What are you most excited about of the upcoming shows in this 50th anniversary year?
Wow, I'm excited about a number of them. And interestingly, speaking of pandemics, I think the pandemic is kind of one of the reasons I'm excited about two of them. One is called Atlantic Crossing, and that's going to be coming up on April 4th. It's a 9-part series, and it's a Norwegian film, but it's partly set in the U.S. It's a based on fact story about the Crown Princess of Norway and her friendship with FDR, of all people.
Wow.
And it's very cool. It's a historical drama, but also you're in Norway and you're in Sweden, and it's kind of for me, it's like, wow, I'm traveling, even now. And then the same is true. It's also a great series in many other ways, but it's really a great, epic, sweeping drama. And then later this year, we have a series with the quirky little title of Us, just the word Us. And that is about it's a contemporary drama. It's about a marriage that is on the rocks. And what they do to sort of work through those issues is they travel, they go to Amsterdam, they go to Paris, and it's gorgeous, but it's also beautifully acted. Tom Hollander and Saskia Reeves are terrific in that.
That's fantastic.
And in Atlantic Crossing, by the way, Kyle MacLachlan is in. He plays FDR, and he does a fantastic job.
Which I have been so excited about. I have to, sorry to cut you off, but when I saw that, I was like, Kyle MacLachlan's going to be on Masterpiece.
Yeah, he is. He rocks it as FDR. It's great.
Which is such an interesting role because I feel like everyone has sort of a vague idea of what FDR is like. So and he's not who I immediately would picture. So I'm really excited to see what he does with that portrayal. It should be fun. Yeah. And obviously, so we're talking about two really fun shows that we were so excited to watch do you have any, like, favorite thing about behind-the-scenes factoid or anything about both All Creatures and Miss Scarlet? Just your favorite thoughts about them or anything like that?
Sure. I ended up looking at some of the early cuts, and in the case of All Creatures, some of the rushes actually as they were filming, and I remember thinking, wow, this is going to be amazing. Because, you know, in the show you see sort of 3 seconds of that gorgeous landscape and the cute car going over the dales. But when you're watching them shooting it, it's like gorgeous dales for 15 minutes, you know, as they do the drones and they do the, and I thought this is really amazing looking. And the performances were all so great right from the get-go. You know, even when they're doing 3 takes of something or 4 takes of something, or somebody forgot the lines or the prop doesn't work or whatever, they were just all really into it right from the beginning. You could tell, and I thought this is going to be something special. And then with Miss Scarlet, I think I was predisposed to love it because I will confess that in the late 80s, I was a devoted, diehard, unstoppable Remington Steele fan.
Amazing!
I loved Remington Steele. And the minute I saw the first episode, I thought, yes, that's it. It's a will they, won't they.
Yes.
It's such a classic vibe.
It is. And it's funny, that's exactly what I said to Jackie, was that when I was young, my big show was The X-Files. And it's a similar vibe on The X-Files where you have Scully and Mulder. And for like 9 of those years, you were like, will they, won't they, have they, will they? Like, will we see it? Is it off screen? What's happening? And that was so amazing about the Miss Scarlet, is the vibe is there, but nothing happens, and it was great. That was fantastic.
And also, she's this great character. I mean, I just love her. She's so smart, and I don't care how realistic or unrealistic it is for a woman to be a detective in Victorian England. She's just great.
Yes,
terrific character.
Yeah.
Completely agree. They were both such great shows, so we'll definitely get into talking about them shortly, but I want to tell everyone out there in streaming land, if you have a question for Erin, let us know. You can drop any of your questions or even your thoughts or feelings or anything you want to about the show on our social feeds, on Facebook in the comments, on YouTube in the comments, on Twitch in the comments, or on Twitter with #DramaAfterDark. And if we add any more social channels, I will lose my mind because that's already a lot to list off. And to kick things off, I think we have to do some recapping here.
Oof. And it's
going to let people know.
It's going to be a hard recapping week. I mean, when I started writing mine today, I'm not confident once again. It's been a rough few weeks.
It has been tough. It has. And it's also partly, I think yours is even more challenging because you're recapping a show that we haven't recapped on this show yet.
No. I know. It's true. We'll see. We'll see how I do. We'll see. I sort of went with it as if people had been reading my recaps on the website all along, which if you haven't and you somehow missed All Creatures Great and Small, get on the website and read them or watch the show.
Or both.
Thought.
I agree with you, Andrea. This was a hard week to recap. And I was showing everyone my note card earlier. I wrote too small again. This is going to end in some disaster.
I
know. Yeah. Well, do we want to do it in show order? Shall I go first, Miss Scarlet, and then you follow up with All Creatures?
That sounds good to me. It'll give me a minute.
Right. To fortify, to prepare yourself.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I've got the trusty rusty timer here, and I'm going to try and make sure I flip it the right way, which is always weirdly hard with this backwards camera thing that is the Zoom world that we're living in. All right. Let's do this. Last week, we found out that Papa Scarlet died while on the trail of a gang of counterfeiters, and this week we confirmed the suspicion that he was murdered for his trouble. Will that make Eliza any more cautious? No! Duke and Frank think Moses is part of the plot, so of course Eliza slips her protective detail to meet with Moses. Fed up, Duke throws her in a cell, but ultimately lets her help sift through evidence. With a fresh lead, the group heads to a tannery where they find Superintendent Slimy dead. But he didn't run the gang. It was Frank, who also tried to frame Moses, killed Papa Scarlet, and would have killed Duke without Eliza's rescue. Okay, pretty close. Pretty close.
You can finish up. What are your last line?
Oh, it was just also the sexual tension was out of the charts and nothing happened. And nothing happened is in all caps with like several question marks and exclamation points.
I think that was worth going overtime for. I'm not gonna lie. I think that was
nothing happened.
Nothing happened.
Well, speaking of, you'll get into it in your recap, but sexual tension.
Yeah.
Are you prepared? You feel ready?
Yes.
Okay, go.
It's Christmas in Derby, and you know what that means. Romance, holiday parties, and donkeys. As Siegfried and company throw their yearly shindig, 4 storylines crash together. The birth of a litter of puppies brings some new perspective to Helen, who chooses to spend her bachelorette party with James in a farmhouse. Siegfried plays hide-and-seek with Dorothy at the party. Tristan makes good with Maggie over her brother's sick donkey, and Mrs. Hall waits on her son Edward to appear, as promised. Is all well that ends well? Maybe. Helen leaves Hugh at the altar, Tristan saves the donkey, and Siegfried finally kisses Dorothy. Not so great. Edward never shows up, and Sigrid finds out Tristan failed school again, but hides it. Phew!
You know what? I will give it to you because I also just remembered that your episode was longer, too. So you crammed in a lot of plot.
Yes, I had 20 extra minutes I had to recap, and, I kind of they were all such important storylines, I couldn't ditch any of them was the issue, and I really cut down on a lot of them, which was tricky because so much was happening there.
Yeah, it was quite the eventful episode. It was quite the eventful season on both shows. I feel like we got, like, a real whirlwind with everything that we saw.
As always, Masterpiece delivered those finales. Mwah!
Yes, magnificent. Well, speaking of this season, we wanted to break down some of our favorite cases for this this season. So, of course, this actually worked out even better because, vets have cases and so do detectives. So we thought we would just all, pick our favorites. And I think, as our special guest, Erin, you should get to go first so that we can hear what yours are.
Well, I think for Miss Scarlet, I'm going to have to go with, it's not really a complete case, but the episode 5 prison story, I just thought was really atmospheric, and it was good on the relationship between Scarlet and the Duke front, and it was also good on the just sort of interesting location and what the hell is going on and smallpox, what? It was kind of a little bit of a curveball, but in a fun way. And of course, as you see in Ep 6, it all made perfect sense. Yes. But it was nice to have that fun of the, wait, what? And then, wow, all creatures, I don't know. That's a tough one. I think I have to go with the cow, not the surgery, even though that was very impressive, but the cow birthing case, the one early on where James, I know how they filmed it. They obviously no animals were harmed in the making of this series, but they used real animals a little bit, and then they would swap in a prosthetic. And, he didn't, obviously, the actor, this young Scottish actor, did not really have his arm up a cow, but he did a fantastic job of looking like he was giving his entire soul to bringing that calf out alive and saving the. It was just delightful. And then how he tells Siegfried off at the end and gets the job. I thought that was really cool.
It was such a great way to kick off that character and show exactly what his thing is, like so committed to the animals that he's trying to help and not afraid of Siegfried, which apparently is rare because he's such a pussycat underneath that scary exterior.
Right.
Yeah.
Andrea, what about you? What were your favorites?
So I think I'm going to go with All Creatures Great and Small first. Mine was the other cow. I actually liked the cow surgery, the best one. And that was partially because Strawberry the cow was so cute. How can you not love a cow named Strawberry? The surgery was so impressive, and I thought it was such a great example of, it was like the whole team got together to do it, first of all, and then it was such a good way to display Tristan's abilities in an episode when I feel like, especially because we saw him fail one of his final tests, I think it's so important to see that he just has to approach things a different way. And I thought that was such a good way to show it. And the farm family that owned Strawberry the cow was just so beautiful and so pure. The millions of children and their dad, and how dedicated they were was really, really endearing to me. I loved it. And then I think for Miss Scarlet, my favorite was probably, I believe it was episode 2, when we see her involved in the sort of underground queer murder case, where she gets involved in this, like, the queer underground of London, for lack of a better term. I thought that was super interesting because I thought it dealt with stuff, one of the things that I love about this show is that it is, to your point, Erin, it does have a lot of anachronistic elements to it, but that's what makes it so good, is because they deal with things that wouldn't have been talked about publicly, and show how you would talk about them from our perspective now. And I think that's really important, because we learned in that story just how the queer community had to deal with the issues that they had in those days, and how they communicated, and how they dealt, how they dealt with, society not being okay with their romances. So I really enjoyed that one. And I also thought it was great because it showed the gray morality that she has to deal with in a lot of her cases too.
Totally. And the fact that it took her a while to figure out what Rupert was even talking about, because she was this protected Victorian lady.
Exactly. There was a lot there, and I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, that was a great episode. It was so hard to pick on all of these, I think. I struggled. I think I have to say my favorite Miss Scarlet case has got to be the Memento Mori episode with the death photography, because I have never texted Andrea so quickly while watching a show and been like, oh, we're gonna love this episode, because we're both nerds for that. So I thought that was great, and I also loved the twist that it was the wife from beyond the grave, because that's just so juicy and delightful. Yeah. I mean, a crappy thing to do, not ideal, but boy, was it fun. And I think for favorite case, I have to give it up for Tricky Woo. Because that little sniffling puppy is so cute.
And Diana
Rigg. Oh my God. It's so lucky that we were able to have her in this last role, and she's so great in it as always. It was so bittersweet to see her on screen. So that was really great.
Yeah. She was great.
She did a fantastic job in this.
Just an incredible talent. So of course, those are our favorite cases. But you can tell us what yours are on all the socials. And speaking of, I'm going to go check on the social phone, because I'm seeing some things coming in from Zach, our social producer. So we have on Facebook, Sarah says, hi from Brighton, Mass. Hi, Sarah.
Hey, Sarah.
Hometown area. That's exciting. Also exciting, we have Desiree watching in Southern California. Hi, Desiree. Thanks for tuning in. What else do we have? We have a question from Megan on Facebook.
Super.
What was it like filming with all the animals on All Creatures for the actors? Like, do you have an animal wrangler? What's the deal with that? Because there were a lot of animals on the show.
There were a lot of animals, and we have a short video online that has the actors talking about it. I think it's called, I can't remember what it's called, but if you search on animals, you will find it. But what I can tell you is, yes, they had a ton of wranglers. They had the parrot wrangler, and they had the cow wranglers, and they had the dogs and cats wranglers, and they were really, obviously, when you're in production, the things they say are the two hardest things are filming with animals and filming with children. And in many episodes of All Creatures, they had to do both at once, which wasn't easy. But, it takes a little more planning, I think. Everybody liked the animals and became comfortable with them. Rachel Shenton, actually, who plays Helen, tells this hysterical story about how she you know, she had to deal with the bull, Clive the bull, on one of her first days filming, and she's tiny. You know, she's not a really tall woman, and she just kind of realized, wow, I just have to show Clive who's boss, because that's what, you know, Helen would do. So I think they all, you know, learned as they went along, but they liked animals, and they had, you know, they had their patience, of course. You know, you film the beginning of the scene with the real cat, and then off goes the cat, because you can't, you know, you can't chloroform a cat. The cat's not an actor, you know? So patience, I think that's how they did it.
Yes.
Wow,
And I think to your point though too, even though Rachel isn't a tall woman, that bull was huge. Like whenever you saw him by himself, I mean, I've been around bulls before because I grew up in the country, and they're just bigger than you would expect. And he was definitely huge. So I can see I would be scared in her situation, and I'm a pretty tall person, so it is very brave and incredible that she was able to do that.
Well, we'll see if we can find that video and get it put in the comments. Maybe Zach can locate it and put it in there so people can watch it. Because that sounds like a lot of fun, and I kind of want to see the behind the scenes of all these, like the menagerie. Of course, keep coming with your questions and your comments. Like we love to see them. And next, we're going to actually go on to one of our favorite segments, which tonight is going to be very spicy. It's, of course, the hot take debate. Yeah,
I've been so excited for this all week.
I've been excited for it too, but also a little nervous because we picked a really hard topic for ourselves, which is, of course, which show is better? It's like, it's an incredibly hard question to ask here.
Yeah, it's kind of like having to choose, to choose between your siblings or your friends. You know, you love them both for different reasons.
Exactly. So with that caveated, we are gonna pick sides, and it's gonna get ugly. So, Andrea, I think we decided you would argue in favor of Miss Scarlet, and I would argue in favor of All Creatures. And Aaron, because it feels really unfair to make you have to pick, we figured maybe you can help support both sides, unless you want to just throw your lot in with one of us, which feels dangerous potentially.
Yeah, no, sometimes in some circumstances I might be willing to do that, but I really just love them both.
Perfect. So we actually have all three sides of this argument here, which is kind of
yes.
Well, with that, I'm happy to go first if that is all right with the rest of the crew, if we're amenable to it. All right. All Creatures Great and Small is the optimal Sunday night show, and here's why. Fact the first, we're in the middle of a gross, nasty winter here in Boston, Massachusetts, and there's nothing better than looking at your TV or your computer and seeing the rolling, beautiful hills of Yorkshire, England, where it's maybe foggy to the point where you cannot leave a house with cute puppies, but oh no, you're stuck in a house with cute puppies and a really thoughtful older couple that's teaching you about life and love. Oh, what a shame. So there's that. There's the, like, obvious, it's beautiful and I'm jealous and I want to go there thing. But also, it's just so dang cozy. Like, every week there's a beautiful little wrap-up. I feel like I'm getting a warm hug or a stern talking to, which sometimes we need a stern talking to from a Siegfried type. And also all the animals are really cute. That's sort of what it boils down to for me. It's pretty, it's cozy, and the animals are really cute. That's my argument.
All right, I hear you.
What do you think?
Should I amplify Jackie's All Creatures argument now?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, I would like to further add to this argument that it has something else. It has really wonderful relationships among the people. Like I call them the Skeldale crew, you know, the people who live at Skeldale House, and then all the other villagers too, especially Helen. They really are unbelievably warm to each other. They look out for each other. I actually found myself thinking, wow, if one of them got COVID-19, they would have a family to take care of them. And they would, you know, they'd all wear masks for each other, and they're just really, it's such a community. And I think that, in addition to the adorable animals and the coziness, like it's not just the tea, it's the people who made the tea and drink the tea and share the tea. Mm-hmm. So I would just add that the human relationships are fabulous.
100%. Thank you. That was the extra sauce my argument needed. I love it, and I completely agree. But of course, Andrea has to disagree because that's the point of this episode. So
we know I love All Creatures because I recapped it this year and was so happy to do that for the website. Just like we know Jackie loves Miss Scarlet because she recapped it for the website this year. But I wound up liking Miss Scarlet more than All Creatures Great and Small, and here is why. It is filled with action, which I love. It was slightly spooky and creepy, which I love. It was so atmospheric, just wonderfully atmospheric in every set that you went to. It had a total vibe. There was just great aesthetic to all the scenes. Her wardrobe was amazing. I mean, we've talked about her dress and the pockets to death. Just fantastic right there. Rupert, as a character, I've never met a character on a show that I want to be best friends with so much than Rupert. The runner-up is like maybe Miss Scarlet herself. I would love to be best friends with Eliza. I mean, Eliza and Rupert for tea? Yes, thank you. And their relationship with each other is fantastic as well. And I mean, like, I'm not gonna lie, having Wellington as eye candy was not bad. Let's be serious here.
Oh yeah, facts.
And I'm a sucker for the mysteries. We know that. Jackie loves the cozy shows, and I do love the mysteries. I thought this was going to be more actiony than mystery, and it was a perfect balance of both. And I adored that. I also adored that I could not guess who the bad guy was. That I feel like I'm a Law and Order addict, so I'm so used to being like, that's it, that's the guy right there. And this one kept guessing, and I loved that about it. So that's what I got for you, Erin. If you would like to.
I am not sure I have anything to amplify. I agree with all your points. I would again make a point that it was just really stylish. But I will amplify not by adding something new, but by saying the same thing happened to me with not guessing. And I've been working on mysteries for a long time, and I can sort of set the part of my brain that has seen it all aside and enjoy the shows. Sometimes it's hard, but I can do it. But this time I actually found myself trying to solve it, and I was still surprised. So I think it was cleverly written.
Yes. Yes.
This is a ringing endorsement, because I feel like the more TV you watch, and you've gotten to watch a lot of TV for work, the harder it is to be surprised by things. I agree. It was spicy.
Kudos to Rachel New on the writing for this one.
Absolutely, yeah.
So I can't disagree with any of your points. I love both shows a lot. It was really hard. We kind of had a little bit of a duel to decide who would argue on behalf of which show. I'm not going to lie to you all. And we actually asked out into Twitter land for you all to vote, and on a poll that started, I think, earlier in the week. And Zach actually just sent me the results. So let me pull those up so we can see. Wow. Okay. So we may have made this more difficult because we put Miss Scarlet, All Creatures, and Equally Love Both. So I think that may have not actually worked out so well in the favor of All Creatures, because Miss Scarlet has the runaway lead here with 52%. And both All Creatures and Equally Great have like 23-ish, 24-ish% of the vote. I also will say, to be fair, we have been covering Miss Scarlet all season, so it may just be that most of the people who've been watching and saw this tweet were like Scarleteers, as they call themselves, I think. But yeah, both great shows. I voted for both when I did the poll. We are just an embarrassment of riches here on Sunday nights. So thank you for that, because it's been great.
That's not even mentioning the long song, which was
so good.
And that was also amazing. So if anybody hasn't seen that yet, definitely go watch it. We managed to find time in our schedules to watch that streaming, and it was fantastic.
Isn't that a remarkable series?
Oh my god,
so good.
Yeah,
it's
incredible.
So well done. Not easy to watch, but amazing and well worth watching.
Absolutely, and just the performances in that again are breathtaking. Everything about it was just amazing. Again, it's such a hard choice for 3 weeks.
Seriously, I feel like March is going to be so glum because we don't have Sunday nights with Masterpiece anymore. So yeah, that'll be tough. And I guess to tide us over, we'll go into our next segment, which is, of course, Unresolved Sexual Tension, or UST. This was an unusual set of shows where there was no resolution to some of these romantic plots, which was kind of fun.
Yeah.
I was expecting some smooching tonight, and we did not get any lip locking. It was kind of nice.
They're Victorians. And plus they were childhood friends. You know, it's going to take a while, right?
That's true. I kind of like the, as a longtime fan of Miss Fisher's Murder Mysteries, which like very famously made us all wait 3 seasons to see any romance happen. It's kind of nice to just have that buildup of like, when will this occur? Will they? Won't they? We don't know. That's kind of fun.
Mm-hmm. And in the case of All Creatures, I mean, you know, James came to this town and he was a well-raised young gentleman, and, you know, she's got a boyfriend and then she's got a fiance. So there's only so much a guy can do, right?
It's true. And I really respected that about him, that he was so like clearly he has big feelings for her, but he's not gonna like push it because that isn't a good thing to do. So he's just like, nope, I guess I'll just be a good friend, a good pal. And I guess if you want to escape your engagement party and come out to the like hills, you can do that, weirdo.
Best bachelorette party ever.
Where the fog notoriously comes in at night.
I absolutely loved that final scene with them in the church. Where you really saw, because you know what a good guy James is. You know, you see it time and again through his work and through the way that he treats Helen and everyone around him. But just the way he just sat with her and let her talk and didn't see this as his moment, which I feel like so many men and other characters we've seen on Masterpiece shows would do. You know, I feel like there's a lot of characters we've seen in other shows who would be like, this is my chance, it's time. And he just happily, you know, listened to her and then walked her out to meet her dad and her sister. And I thought that was lovely. You know, it was such classic James for a moment. And I really adored that.
Yeah. And also it made me like him even more, but also I think he was, you know, maybe he's just being strategic, right? Because she is obviously distraught and it's not the time. I mean, timing's everything, you know?
Yeah, sure. True. And speaking of timing, Wellington coming up with the great plan that we're going to dinner right now because we're getting to a fight. I can guarantee you there was a walk to that restaurant. They got into a fight as soon as they crossed that street.
Oh yeah, the minute the camera stopped rolling, they were bickering again. Like, there's no way.
Yeah.
But that's what makes them fun to watch.
Exactly. He accidentally stepped in like a mud puddle and splashed her, and then they got in an argument about that or something. And yeah, that's the fun of that relationship. But
yeah,
though I'm not sure she's the type to care about mud on her skirts.
No,
that's true. It'd be more that she splashes him and he gets mud on his pants. And he's like, Eliza, this was an expensive suit. You already cut up one of the other ones. What are you doing with this?
It took me a month to buy these pants.
Exactly. Expensive. I guess we did talk to a costume historian once who told us that, like, clothing is worth the equivalent of a car or something in this era, which makes me really question whether I would ever allow anyone to cut my clothing up if I were in that position.
Yeah, I related to that moment. If you have a suit coat you like, you can't get rid of it.
That's true. Well, I thought that this was kind of a fun vibe for us, because a lot of times on the shows we are aiming at, you know, a romance plot, and we've kind of enjoyed watching a season of Miss Scarlet where, like, it's unclear whether they are meant to be, and I kind of like that. Like, there's some tension. It's sometimes there, it's sometimes not. Like, that's kind of cool. It's more focused on her relationships that are friendship based, which is really nice to see and very fulfilling. And on All Creatures, like, obviously it's been sort of a one-sided pining situation, so we'll see what happens with that. But first, let's take a look at our old social phone. Again, you can get at us anywhere online. We have on Facebook, Sarah says, "I love All Creatures," and there's a bunch of likes next to that one. We agree. It's a delightful show. Longtime viewer Sarah says, "Pandemic escapism." Heart. Yes, totally. That's exactly what it is. And we also have Melissa back. Hi, good to see you again in the comments. And she says, "All Creatures gives me the feels like the Durls of Corfu, and not just because of Triss." And I think that's a really great comment, because it's got a very similar kind of family homey vibe, which is really fun to see. Absolutely. And similar shenanigans too.
Yes.
Slightly less wackiness, though.
Yes. Yeah. It's a little more wholesome fun than wacky fun.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, Tristan's all alone trying to make it wacky. No one's helping him. If he had one wacky friend, I think it could really go off the rails. And I would like to be that wacky friend.
Yeah. If we had brought in, oh no, I'm going to forget her name, the young woman who played the sister in Durrells. If she was in here, it would be all over. The town would be in shambles.
Yeah, Derry Fair would have been set on fire, probably literally.
Yeah, we love Margot.
Margot's fantastic.
Well, let's go on to our next segment here, which of course we are calling triumphantly, "We Were Right!" It's always kind of nice when we get to say "we were right" instead of "we were right?" ? Sometimes we have to do that. Or "we were wrong." I think one time we just said "we failed," and I think that was a dark day for us.
It was sad.
So, as anyone who saw the first episode of our show this season will remember, or maybe won't, we made some predictions about what we thought would happen in this season of Miss Scarlet and the Duke. Here's what they were. The first one was that we thought that maybe there would be a Clara Ex Machina, or what we were calling Clara Ex Machina, where the character played by the same gal who played Morwenna, which was delightful to see her back again, would show up in the end and save the day. Now, of course, we weren't actually right about this, but it could still happen. We don't know if there gets to be another season.
Maybe we'll see her again. If that happens.
You know, I had the same thought. I liked that actress. I mean, she did a great job as Morwenna, and it was cool to see her again. And I thought, I'd love to see more of her.
Yeah, it'd be cool to see her too as like that wealthy patroness too, because you know Rupert is sort of like her backer, but it'd be cool to have a lady backer too.
Yeah, I kind of wanted the like girl crime fighting partner situation, but I'm always asking for that in shows, so we'll see. Maybe eventually.
That's the dream. Speaking of Rupert, we also guessed that he is gay, correctly. We're hoping that he might find some love in this show, and we haven't necessarily seen that yet. Although that doctor friend of his maybe was like someone he was dating. We're not really sure. I hope not. I didn't like that guy.
Yeah, I didn't like the doctor either. But yeah, we're hoping we had hoped that Rupert would find love, but I think he found something more important, which was self-acceptance. And I'm going to be honest, he really grew into his own from episode 1 to episode 6. And I think that was more important than him finding love necessarily.
Well said.
I agree.
I'm with you.
Yes.
Beautiful. And then our last prediction, Moses will end up being a really close friend to Eliza. So glad to be right on this. And also so glad that last week we were right when we were saying that he definitely isn't like bad and that he's getting set up.
Yeah.
He's so great. I love Moses. I want a whole show about him.
Yes.
He's a great character.
He was really fun, and it was I suspected he wasn't actually Jamaican, the actor, and watching another behind the scenes piece from Masterpiece had an interview with him. I believe it was called like Eliza's Squad or Eliza's Gang or
Yes,
like
that is such a fun video. We love that.
It was really cute, and watching him on that, I was surprised. I wasn't as surprised that he didn't have a Jamaican accent, but I was surprised at just how endearing and adorable the actor is, because you're used to Moses, who's like a little prickly and a little dangerous, and then you see the actor who plays him, and you're like, why are you so cute? Like, he just seems so friendly and open, as opposed to how Moses is.
Pure charm factory over there.
Yes.
Yeah, so those were our predictions. We did pretty well this season. I am always impressed when we don't totally screw it up. And yes, Erin actually asked us about this before we started. We really don't watch ahead. We are predicting, honestly. And we can't help it that we're just so insightful.
You know.
Okay. All right, now we're going to go on to our next segment, which is a new one for us, and it's called The Old Switcheroo.
I'm excited for this one because I think this is going to get really fun. But
I think so too. It's a little goofy. The concept here is we're going to pick a character from each show, and that they'll swap places and say what we think will happen when they do that. Does anyone have a really strong opinion on who should switch and want to start us off here?
I think you should kick us off, Jackie, to give us the best example.
Oh wow, that's a little pressure.
Okay, an example.
Here's my example. I think that our Scottish characters should switch, and we should have James go to Miss Scarlet and Wellington go to All Creatures.
Oh no!
And here's why. First of all, I think James would be so much fun working with Eliza, because he would just be like, oh, whatever you say, Eliza, yeah, you probably have it right. Like, let me get you those case files. Like, let's collaborate. Like, we can get this figured out. We're going to solve the problem. And their crime solving rate would go way up. Now, he's probably not going to be able to intimidate people as well. So that'll be a problem for them. But I think in general, they're going to be in pretty good shape. And in All Creatures, I feel like Wellington versus Siegfried would just be like so much fun to watch, because they would just have loom-offs all the time where they would just kind of glare at each other and bark at each other, and then they would go and like go to the pub and be best friends forever. And I want to see it.
Fingers crossed that that's what would happen at the pub, and not that they find opposite corners to sit in and glare at each other from.
I feel like it would start like that, but then slowly they would gain respect for each other, and it would become like a real team of rivals situation. Mm-hmm. Now, would the Duke be any good at veterinary medicine? Absolutely not. Like, there's no way he's good at that. And he would have terrible bedside manner, but I think he would have a lot of fun skulking, and that's what counts.
So I will go next, Erin, if that's okay with you.
Sure.
All right. So I would switch Tristan and Eliza. And here's what I expect would happen, is I want to see the most, I feel like Tristan would get really into the detective work, because he has a passion for adventure and a passion for causing trouble. So I can see him like really getting into that, and really getting into causing trouble for Wellington, much like Eliza does. It would take away the nice feminist flavor that we have in Miss Scarlet, but if it was for just one episode, it would be really fun. Also, I want you to picture Eliza making James her best friend, and Siegfried trying to control Eliza in any way, shape, or form, which would just be... and you know, Mrs. Hall is so similar to Eliza's housekeeper in a lot of ways. They both have that like very motherly, you know, taking care of business but not taking any crap from anybody. I feel like they would get along swimmingly. James would love her because she would take care of James whenever Siegfried tried to loom. And I think, and she would get along with Helen. So I just think it would be a really, really fun little vacation from Victorian England for Eliza.
Oh man, I can totally picture that. That would be a lot of fun to watch. I would like it. What say you, Erin?
Well, I'm honestly troubled by the whole concept. However, I'm tempted to send Mrs. Hall back to teach Eliza Scarlet how to cook.
Yeah.
Oh, fair.
Really,
yeah.
If you're gonna stay single, you have to learn how to cook. By the way, something is going wrong with my light. I'm not quite sure what, but I seem to be having like a change
a
of
blue situation.
hue. Yeah, hue is shifting on me. But I think mostly it might be interesting to send Siegfried back to Victorian England. I'm just not sure who to switch him with. I sort of would want to switch him with Frank, actually. I wouldn't want to inflict Frank on the Skeldale crew, but I think Siegfried and the Duke could have some fun together.
They really could. I'm with you.
And I feel like also Siegfried would really get into the medical discoveries that were happening in that era. A lot of the what's it called, Jackie? Is it virology? I'm not smart.
Yeah, you're smart.
So I think he would really get into that, to your point, Erin. And I also think maybe the Skeldale crew is so sweet and familial that they would bring Frank around.
Maybe. And Siegfried would get to treat a lot of horses.
That's true.
All the police horses. And he loves horses.
He would be so happy. He'd just be petting horses all day, every day. It'd be great for him. I like it. I like it. It is a disturbing concept, but thank you for playing along with us.
Okay.
So that's the switcheroo. We've done it. We've come up with really horrifying body swap situation going on. We're going to take a quick second here and do something that's new for us. We are going to tell you that right now, PBS is in pledge. And when we do shows like this and Masterpiece makes their shows, that is all made possible because of viewers like you. Yes, you out there in TV land. And if you would like to support your local PBS station, you can do that by going to pbs.org/donate. The link is right there. I'm kind of pointing at it even. So this has been a helpful message from your local drama nerds. Support this kind of stuff. It means a lot to us, and it helps us make all the kinds of cool stuff that you like to watch. And with that, we're going to go to our comment of the day.
Woo!
Let's see what we got here. Okay, this is a really good one. Good pull, Zach. Well done. So this is from Twitter. It's from @BBC American Girl, who says, "So grateful to Masterpiece for airing the best programs on TV. Sundays are my only nights for appointment television." And then they've tagged Miss Scarlet and all creatures. Could not agree more. And what a great note to wrap up, like, maybe the best month and a half, 2 months of television that we've had in quite some time.
It's true. This 2 months of programming is really what we've been looking forward to in the last cold months of quarantine.
Well, that's great.
Yeah,
I'm so happy to hear that. We're hearing that from a lot of people, that these two shows made a lot of people happy, and we're glad to have brought them, and we enjoyed them too. That's the great thing. We had a blast working on them.
Great. It's always good to hear that, because we want you guys to keep having fun making this so we get more.
Yes.
And on that note, thank you all at home for watching along to the season of Miss Scarlet and the Dukes, covering on Drama After Dark. And thank you for joining us for this wacky episode, recapping Miss Scarlet's and All Creatures finales. Thank you, Erin, for joining us once again.
Happy to be here.
Drama After Dark, and for being such a good sport for all of our shenanigans.
I'm sorry I called one of your activities disturbing.
You know what? It would be off-brand if something we did wasn't disturbing. Let's be real.
Okay.
And on that note, thank you so much, everybody. We won't see you next week, but we will see you soon. Have a great rest of your winter, and we'll see you hopefully sometime this summer or fall. Bye now.
Bye.
Bye.